From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Millicent Walker.
Hello and welcome. Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai tests positive for coronavirus, goes into isolation as the total confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria rises. President Buhari gets briefing from the Minister of Health and NCDC Director General on COVID-19 response efforts, encourages them to keep doing the right thing. Governor Sanwo-Olu takes delivery of new 110-bed isolation and treatment center in Lagos, says decision on total lockdown in the city will be taken when it becomes necessary. And coronavirus death toll in Europe rises above 20,000 as the United States and other countries battle to curb the spread of COVID-19. Plus, you'll see business and sports. On business news tonight, Corporate Affairs Commission releases guidelines on annual general meetings of public companies holding by proxies.
And on sports news tonight, Manchester City signs over the use of Etihad Stadium to the United Kingdom National Health Service to train volunteers in the ongoing fight against the coronavirus.
Coronavirus remains on the front burner, with the number of confirmed cases rising and the disease making inroads into more states. But we begin in Kaduna State, where the governor, Nasir El-Rufai, has announced that he has tested positive for COVID-19. The governor made this known on his Twitter handle this evening, saying that he is currently in isolation. In a video attached to the tweet, Governor El-Rufai said his deputy governor is in charge of the state's task force on COVID-19.
Earlier this week, I submitted a sample for the COVID-19 test. The result came in this evening, and I regret to say that it is positive. According to the protocols for managing COVID-19, I'm in self-isolation as required by the case management guidelines issued by the Nigerian Center for Disease Control. That is for someone that is showing no symptoms. I wish to appeal to the people of Kaduna State to continue to closely observe the preventive measures already announced by our government. It is most important that everyone should do their utmost to stay safe, stay home, and stay alive. The Deputy Governor is in charge of our task force on COVID-19 and will continue to issue statements from time to time.
Before the Kaduna State Governor made public his status, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control had announced that 8 new cases had been added to the number of COVID-19 cases in Nigeria, with Lagos State getting 7 of them, Benue 1 case being its first. Of that number, Lagos has 59, the FCT 14, Oyo and Ogun 3 each, Bauchi, Edo and Enugu have 2 cases each, with 1 each in Ekiti, Osun, Rivers and Benue State. While briefing journalists in Makodi, the Benue State capital, after receiving the results from the NCDC, Governor Samuel Ortom said the case is a returnee from the United Kingdom. He called on the contacts of the first confirmed coronavirus case in the state to voluntarily make themselves available for isolation purposes.
We want to advise Benue people, no need to stigmatize anyone on this matter. This is a new virus that the whole world is battling to contend with, and so there is no need. We decided to call her name Susan Ope for people who came in contact with her in the last 14 days, so that you can come out and or do safe isolation and wear you have issues, you will please be required to call the numbers that we have given out, and specifically 091 860 2439, 091 8602 439, or 070 2503 1214.
In the meantime, Nigeria's president has been briefed by the Minister of Health, Dr. Osagie Ehanire, on the efforts being made to curb the spread of coronavirus in the country. Dr. Ehanire was accompanied on the visit by the Director General of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, Dr. Chikwe Ihekwazu, who described the meeting as impromptu, saying that he made some clarifications as requested by President Muhammadu Buhari. The presidential villa was reported to have been on partial lockdown after an aide to the president tested positive for COVID-19 and is currently being treated at a secure location. That's according to the Minister of Health.
Well, it's an impromptu visit. It's unscheduled, and it is to answer a few questions that His Excellency had about the health sector, which we took the opportunity to explain further. We have been able to clarify a few things which were, let us say, in question regarding the state we are in into the coronavirus disease outbreak in Nigeria. Well, I explained those problems, the situation, and what the projection will be going forward, and what are the measures which you think will be very necessary at this time. He wished us very well and told us that we should continue doing the right thing.
Back in the southwest Oyo State, the governor, Seyi Makinde, says he is in self-isolation because of his contact with certain people in the past few days. He says the fight against coronavirus is a collective responsibility, calling for the cooperation of the people of the state. In the meantime, an isolation process is already in place for 84 persons suspected to have been in contact with 2 positive cases. And the state's diagnostic center, set up in collaboration with the University College Hospital, is ready to set things in motion. In Lagos, the government has taken delivery of a new isolation and treatment center as additional measures to handle the coronavirus pandemic. The 110-bed facility, which is located within the Mobolaji Johnson Arena, formerly Onikon Stadium in Lagos Island, comes as a support from a private organization. The Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who took delivery of the care facility, says the spread of COVID-19 can be effectively managed through collaboration with organizations. He also made clarifications on the issue of total lockdown in Lagos State.
Here is, like I said, they will have an ICU section, we'll have a regular bed isolation center, we'll have we'll have pharmacy department, we'll have doctors' lounge, doctors' quarters, everything you can imagine of an international standard is here. We are going through a trying time globally. We're going through a time in which the level of the pandemic is unprecedented. So we cannot be over-prepared. In fact, the whole idea and the whole sentiment is you need to wrap up preparedness to over 200-300 level. So what we are doing here is we're building excess capacity in the event that we see a huge spike and it becomes something that we need to activate. Training, extensive training of the personnel that will be running this facility will start tomorrow, and it's back to back. Just so that we will not tell you, because it's a security zone, when we'll begin to admit patients in here. I just want to assure you that all of the things that have been put here are world class, and they're things that we believe that our citizens will come in here and will get well. We have continued to see improvements in the level of people that are in our various other isolation centers, and we're happy with the level of their response, to the recovery process. The fact that I said that there's no curfew today does not mean that there might not be one on Monday, right? But when it's going to happen, we'll let you know, right? So it's a function of what we are seeing on the graph that we're plotting every day, right? But so that report was unfortunate. It wasn't meant, for public consumption at that time. It was something that we're reviewing, so we hadn't taken that decision.
So it's not a total shutdown of activities, but for the about 40 to 50% informal sector following the orders of the Lagos State government, many of them will be affected. Our correspondent Amy John McQuarrie visited a few areas in Lagos and reports that Lagosians are starting to feel the pinch.
Locked shop and packed merchandise following the order of the Lagos State government in its effort to curb the spread of COVID-19. For health workers, this is a good time to fumigate the market, especially because stalls with food items are permitted to operate.
To disinfect all the environment as against the outbreak of this coronavirus. It's not a one-off exercise. This exercise is going to continue for like 10 days as our governor has stated.
The public transportation sector is one of the areas without a ban. However, operators feel the pinch of the slowdown in economic activities. The state government has also asked that sanitizers should be at garages and in buses, orders which the transport union leadership says it is working to enforce. Also, buses should be 60% full. This, however, raises concern because of the loss of revenue which operators may incur.
They will have to pay for the loss in their own self. Concerning what we are seeing now, we must reduce our own dues and they must reduce so that they won't increase to the people that they are not going to work. So how will they see money to pay when they increase it? And we cannot afford them to work when the government said they shouldn't work.
It's going to be much more.
Economist Bismarck Rewani warns that the loss of revenue would eventually be felt on a national scale and the country should brace up for it.
Closure of local markets. The informal sector in Nigeria is roughly 30 to 40% of the economy. So 15% of Nigeria's GDP is trade. Of this trade, at least 40 to 50% of it is informal. Our impression is that in Q1, you are going to have a negative growth of at least 1.5%, from positive growth in Q4 of 2.55. And that, if you take the range, is like almost 100% less activity in Q1. It will continue into Q2.
An elaborate and comprehensive approach is what Mr. Rewani suggests to deal with the consequences of the partial lockdown of the economy following the outbreak of COVID-19. Amy John McQuarrie reporting for Channels Television News.
To the south-south, travellers moving in and out of both Rivers and Bayelsa State through the east-west road have had to spend the night on the road outside the safety of their homes. This is following a directive by the governments of both states to shut down all borders and entry points as part of measures to curtail the spread of COVID-19. The stranded travellers were calling on both state governments to allow them to get to their destination. Well, as at 7 p.m. this evening, it's not clear whether the borders have been opened for them. But let's take a look at what they said earlier.
The move by the Rivers and Bayelsa state governments to shut down entry points into both states in order to contain the spread of the novel coronavirus may be commendable, but it is taking a toll on many others. The ever-busy East-West Road is one of the routes affected. Stranded and agitated travelers cry out.
Some people that was coming from Lagos, some coppers are going to Imo State. All of them slept here till this morning. And some people don't have money to eat.
We are begging government to help us so we can just go and sell this market and rest.
They insist they were not given enough time. According to them, the directive was given on Thursday morning and implementation started hours after.
They never pre-informed us that they are going to block the road. Did you understand me? We came here leaving our families. My wife is pregnant. Did you understand me? Leaving my family just to go back to Abana, they tell us that they are going to open the road from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. that they will call off the curfew. Till now, this is past 10 to 11, 12. They are telling us that we are going to remain here till 2 weeks' time. What are we going to do?
For most of these travelers, their desire is to be allowed to get to their destinations, but the state government says the situation requires drastic measures like the ban on movement in and out of the state to avoid the spread of the disease.
In part two, after the break, we have more on COVID-19 as measures adopted for checking the spread of the disease continue to generate mixed responses across the country. Please stay with us.